Kyiv's partners will discuss the presence of peacekeeping forces in Ukraine. This was announced by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese, following a phone conversation. After the talk, the UK Prime Minister's press office stated that Australia is ready to join the coalition of the willing.
He welcomed Prime Minister Albanese's commitment to consider contributing to a coalition of the willing for Ukraine and looked forward to the Chiefs for Defense meeting in Paris on Tuesday. The Prime Minister also reiterated the UK's commitment to the AUKUS program. The leaders agreed to stay in touch. From the UK government's press office.
The Coalition of the Willing initiative was first announced by the UK Prime Minister on March 3rd, following an emergency meeting of European leaders on supporting Ukraine. Its goal is to coordinate countries to ensure regular arms supplies to Kyiv and deploy peacekeeping forces to Ukraine after the cessation of hostilities. The coalition is led by London, Paris and Kyiv. According to Keir Starmer, this initiative is one of 4 key steps toward achieving a just peace in Ukraine, following a peace agreement.
We will go further to develop a coalition of the willing to defend a deal in Ukraine and to guarantee the peace. Not every nation will feel able to contribute, but that can't mean that we sit back. Instead, those willing will intensify planning now. With real urgency, the UK is prepared to back this. With boots on the ground and planes in the air, together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting. Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Keir Starmer discussed the coalition of the willing with leaders of 20 European countries at a meeting dedicated to supporting Ukraine in Brussels on March 6. The UK, France, Australia and Canada have already expressed their readiness to participate in forming a peacekeeping contingent. Ottawa confirmed that the deployment of troops will be discussed among Kyiv's partners.
There is discussions among the nations who refer to themselves as the coalition of the willing. Canada is ready and able to make a contribution to that force, but we also believe that there's important discussions that need to take place with respect to security guarantees for Ukraine and for the forces that would serve in Ukraine.
Bucharest and Warsaw have declared their readiness to provide logistical support for the deployment of peacekeeping forces. According to Romania's acting president Ilie Boloyan, the country is prepared to offer its military bases, ports and airports for allied troop movements. Meanwhile, Polish Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz stated that Poland is prepared to facilitate arms deliveries from partner nations through its territory. However, Warsaw continues to insist that it will not deploy its own soldiers in Ukraine. Polish President Andrzej Duda suggested that the deployment of UN peacekeepers should be considered.
Some proposals include the presence of NATO or European peacekeeping forces. I do not see this as the only option. We could consider a situation along the demarcation line between Russia and a sovereign, independent Ukraine. We may need certain peacekeeping and monitoring forces, but I do not rule out the possibility that both sides could agree to UN forces. In my view, Russia would have to consent to such a move. As a permanent member of the UN Security Council, I do not think it would oppose this solution.
Italy's Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani also expressed support for the idea of deploying UN peacekeeping forces. He argued that if hostilities cease within a year and a just peace agreement is reached, the deployment of European troops may no longer be necessary. Previously, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni suggested that NATO's Article 5 should be extended to Ukraine without granting it formal membership in the alliance. According to her, this would be the only way to guarantee lasting peace. Reported by Katerina Bastun, Andriy Dmitrenko, UATV News.
Europe is ready to respond to the challenge that Russia has imposed on the world, said the Prime Minister of Poland. This is a turning point when Europe realized that their responsibility for security on the continent lies with it, noted Donald Tusk.
Europe must respond to this challenge in this arms race and must win. I am convinced that Russia will lose the arms race, just as the Soviet Union lost a similar race 30 years ago. But today, everything has changed. I mean both the European Commission's proposals and the resolve of all my counterparts in Paris and London. Everyone is determined to take on this challenge.
European leaders are consolidating at all levels. The ministers of defense of Ukraine and Poland, Rustem Umerov and Vladislav Kosiniak-Kamysh, discussed military assistance and key needs of the Ukrainian army. They agreed to expand cooperation on ammunition supplies within the framework of the Czech initiative, the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine wrote on social media.
Our closest neighbors were among the first to provide military support to Ukraine from the very beginning of the full-scale invasion. Poland will continue to ensure the logistics of weapons and ammunition deliveries for our defense through its territory. Another important area is military training. Poland has already trained over 30,000 Ukrainian soldiers and is ready to expand this program together with Scandinavian and Baltic countries, Rustem Umerov, Minister of Defense of Ukraine, on Facebook.
Russia has already started supplying the 46th aid package to Kyiv, valued at 200 million euros, said the Minister of Defense of Poland. Joint defense projects hold a special place in the bilateral partnership.
We need to mobilize industry. Polish and Ukrainian industries should make joint investments, not only during the war, but also to develop their deterrence potential. These initiatives are very much needed. Improving economic relations is also very important for us. We will continue to support Ukraine.
Ukraine is increasing its own arms production. This includes not only artillery ammunition, but also heavy armored vehicles and drones, a sector in which the country has become a leader. President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that as of November 2024, over 800 defense industry enterprises were operating in the country. This includes joint defense factories. Currently, Germany is the leader in this direction, according to the Ukrainian government.
After our victory, Ukraine will have a powerful defense industrial complex with high production volumes. Accordingly, it will need buyers. Currently, the necessary partnerships are being established. Partners are getting used to buying Ukrainian weapons, tested on the real battlefield and modified to meet its requirements. Ministry of Strategic Industries of Ukraine, in comment to Ukrainian media.
Kyiv's partners are also interested in cooperating with private Ukrainian defense enterprises. They lead in the market for drones, electronic warfare systems, and armored vehicles. Ukrainian manufacturers, in turn, gain access to technologies from leading weapons producers. This strengthens the ties between Ukraine's and Europe's defense industries, according to the government. According to chief of the main Directorate of Intelligence of Ukraine, Kirill Budanov, post-war Ukraine as a state with one of the strongest armies on the continent, a powerful defense industrial complex, and unique military experience could become America's main ally in the region. Reported by Alexandra Zaslavets, Victoria Smirnova, UATV News.